Hey, thanks so much for tuning into the Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth. Today is Talk About It Tuesday, and we're going through the book of Ruth. Actually, we're going to go through the book of Ruth all month long. It's a great story about love and compassion, how appropriate as we are in the month of February, as we will get into Valentine's Day next Sunday. But you know what? We're going to go through the book of Ruth, and we'll start in chapter 1 and verse 1. We'll go through verses 1 through 5 today. In verse 1, it says, "In the days when the judges ruled, there was a famine in the land. So the man from Bethlehem in Judah, together with his wife and 2 sons, went to live for a while in the country of Moab. The man's name was Elimelech. His wife's name was Naomi, and the names of his 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion. They were Ephrathites from Bethlehem, Judah, and they went to Moab to live there. Now Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left with her 2 sons. They married Moabite women, one named Orpah and the other Ruth. After they had lived there about 10 years, both Mahlon and Chilion also died, and Naomi was left without her 2 sons and her husband." Wow. Naomi experienced such loss there in just a short amount of years, losing her husband, and just a few years later, losing both of her sons. You know, I talked on Sunday in the message that a widower was considered an outcast. And not only did she lose her husband, a few years later, she lost both her sons. And so she had nothing nobody who could take care of her. She couldn't provide for herself. And she was there alone. She didn't know what her future was going to be. And so today we're talking about grief. You know, Naomi went through a tremendous amount of grief, not only losing her husband, but losing her 2 sons. And as we will go into tomorrow and the next day is Ruth was there for Naomi, was there for her mother-in-law. She noticed her mother-in-law and the grief, even though Ruth was experiencing the same amount of grief because she just lost her husband. But she was so compelled to be there for somebody who was hurting, her mother-in-law. And so for today, for Talk About It Tuesday, I want us to notice somebody who's going through grief and reach out to that person. Talk to them. Now, it's not your job to fix them, right? We all go through grief. We all have experienced loss. But who knows? Maybe a phone call, maybe a text, maybe even writing a letter to somebody. Notice when people are going through loss and be there for them, just like how Ruth was there for her mother-in-law. And as we will go into it later on, how Boaz was there for Ruth. Be a noticer and talk it over with somebody. Find somebody who is going through grief, loss, going through a trial. Give them a call and be an encourager to them today. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for another Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth.